Good evening, everybody. This is Hustling Muscle signing in, and I'm going to have another interesting session today. I'm going to be joined by Dr. Devdatta Mukherjee once again. So, we're going to be talking about how my weightlifting capacity, my strength increased. So, let me see how I can make a join. Just give me a second. Let me send out a request. The invite code. So I hope everybody has had an excellent Diwali. I hope everybody has had an amazing time, and I can see, and she's joined us. She joined us right from the mountain land, and we can see she's all decked up for that. Thank you so much for joining us. Hi, thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Devdatta Mukherjee. Finding time in your holiday schedule also for us. Thank you so much. And before we start, we would also like to thank the paragliders who landed you safe from the cloud number one. We all have been noting that. So, firstly, before we start, how was that experience? Honestly, I was freaking out. I'm like, please land my doctor safe.
No, that was actually a lot of fun. So I've done parasailing twice before, and what you need to do is just commit to it like any other game. I think it's a lot to do with your attitude towards it. You have gone there, there's no going back. Commit to it. And also that site where we were doing paragliding, it's the safest place to do it in India, and it's the second best place in the world. So 2015 World Cup of paragliding was held there. So everybody does that, and it's very safe. So I just committed myself. Initial part was a little scary, probably for like a few seconds, where you have to run towards the end of the hill, and after that it's just amazing. So
it honestly reminded me of my favorite movie, a movie I think I watch almost once a month. I try to watch Ye Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara when they did it. And trust me, I still don't have the guts. I'm still ready to fight the bulls, run from the bulls, but I still don't have the guts. I look down from the third floor. I'm like, oh god, that's like oh scary. And I'm from the entertainment industry, so I remember when I had to climb heights at times for emergencies. I remember what a time I had. So hats off to you. I hope you enjoy. And again, thank you so much for taking your time out.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, since we have Dr. Devdatta Mukherjee now with us, Deb is there. So let's start. Okay, Deb, I've already discussed this with you, and we've already, I think, put it out. Today, basically, we're going to talk about, how everybody knows about my injuries by now. A lot of people have seen the injuries that I've had, and everybody is like, oh man, it's amazing how you have progressed from, that small dumbbell in your hand to now pushing 30 kgs, 35 kgs, and you're able to do your repetition. What are you taking? Are you taking some supplement? I've been asked, are you taking PEDs? I'm like, no, I don't take PEDs. PED means performance enhancement drugs. Okay. There's nothing like that. The only performance enhancement that has been done is from my team, my trainers, and Dr. Devdatta has been one very strong person in that. Why don't you give them a little gist of how I was and how you made me, battled my injuries and made me progress towards this carrying of weights? Give a little gist to everybody out there.
Okay, so what happens is, strength training is very important. We all need to strength train during our lives. It's not like nobody can, anybody cannot do it. But the thing is, how do you start? So first of all, I told Prateek, what are your goals? Because it's just like driving somewhere. You might have a great car, you might be able to drive well, but if you don't know where you're going, you're not going to reach anywhere. So setting your goals is very, very important. So he told me that he wants to go forward with a deadlift, and he wants this amount of weight to be achieved. And why? You need to ask yourself, why do you want to achieve that in strength training? How is it going to make your life better? How is it going to help you play a certain sport or participate in any activity, like you want to go ahead with trekking, or you want to go ahead with any competitive sporting activities? So you need to know why you're doing that strength training, or you want to be able to lift weight and be more energetic and agile in your daily life. So you need to know your goals. Secondly, you need somebody who is a professional to assist you, okay? Because your brother or your friend or your partner in the gym might know what works best for them, okay? But they might not know your body. They will have no idea about your medical history, about your history of surgeries, about your previous complaints. Like, for example, Prateek used to keep telling me that he has this specific sciatica problem that keeps coming up each and every time whenever he used to go forward with any weights. So For that reason, he always kept off weight. So what happens is you need to know about their condition properly to be able to guide them on how to go ahead with the weight training. So always get the help of a trainer or a physiotherapist for that.
See, this is a very important point, because there was a stage in my workout where I was so adamant and egoistic. But I said, no, I think she's underestimating my power, and I can start lifting. She was like, no, they was like, Pratik, this is the weight. Don't try increasing it. You're gonna hurt yourself. Honestly, I didn't listen to her, and I went and tried lifting it. Oh God, the back injury I had, I shouldn't call it an injury. Luckily, I was lucky that it was not as bad, because Dave was there and I could immediately tell her, okay, I've goofed up, I made this mistake. She's like, I told you, and you don't listen. So that was one plus point. I was lucky that within a week she was able to, help me, give me my exercises, stretches, bring me back to my workout schedule. So that's when I understood listening to a professional is very important. See, everybody is very, very well aware that I am a person who's worked with bodybuilders, who's worked with athletes who carry heavy weights, and I used to lift heavy weights from a younger days of my life. But understand, I grew old also, and there was a period where I was not lifting weights, so I needed to make a start somewhere. It was a restart. You just can't jump. So that's where, as Dave says, no, it's very important to listen to professionals, because see, they come with experience. They know what is right, what is wrong. So if you're looking at something, you want to achieve something in a very proper manner and a very safe manner, it is very much required to listen to somebody like Dave and the other professionals out there. Okay, I have one more question for you. Now, there's this latest trend that you're seeing the internet with people doing deadlifts, people carrying maybe for a dumbbell row. Averagely, a not so fit person coming in a very short span, he tries to carry very, very heavy weights. Do you think that is advisable? Somebody who started working out for just say less than 30 days, and he gets all enthusiastic. Okay, let me start lifting heavy weights, and he's trying to do, say, about a squat or a deadlift with 100 plus kgs. Do you think it's advisable? Do you think it's the way people should proceed?
Okay, so what we first need to understand is what kind of background is that person coming from. He or she may not be coming from any sort of, athletic background. Even if they're coming from an athletic background, most of them have sedentary jobs now. They might have participated in sports like years ago. So we need to understand what do they do all of their days, like 24 hours a day, or other than the exercise, the 23 hours of the day. What else do they do? Do they sit in front of a laptop hunchback? Like I used to keep telling you, Pratik, that don't sit hunchback, because how you are right now, your muscles are going to work accordingly when you are at the gym or when you are strength training by yourself. Because if my body is constantly tight and stiff, and the muscle flexibility or the range of motion of the joints is very limited, the muscle will not get pulled out completely. Okay, so here we will be working a little on the properties of an elastic. Okay, so muscles are like elastic. If you stretch them completely, they will efficiently contract. The more you stretch them, the more efficiently they contract. Now, if our muscles are already very tight, for example, shoulders are hunched, hip is hunched, stomach muscles are tight, with that tight range of motion in all of your body, your back, your shoulders, your neck, your hip, you're going forward with lifting that heavy weight. And ultimately, you're again going forward to that stiff posture. It is not going to help. Okay, so you really need to take your time out, improve your flexibility, improve your range of motion, warm up your muscles, because number one, the flexibility of the muscles will increase. Secondly, your heart rate will increase to get you ready for the exercise. And thirdly, cold muscles get injured faster. So warmed up muscles get injured much slower. So you will be able to get that correct. So usually for somebody who has been sedentary for a very long time, these things must be done. And secondly, I see a lot of people, and Pratik, you and me were talking about this a while ago, that everybody just goes forward with a very heavy weight immediately. And so what happens is we are not able to do the periodization or a progressive loading of the muscle. What is progressive loading? So progressively we are slowly loading or adding resistance or adding weight for the muscle to grow. So when a muscle is growing, there are two things happening. First is hypertrophy. That means increase in the size of the muscle. Second is hyperplasia. That means increase in the number of muscles. So, with the progressive loading, both hypertrophy and hyperplasia will be happening. But if I have not given time for the progressive loading, what happens is neither the muscle numbers are more, the fiber number, neither their size is more. So their efficiency is not as much. They are not capable of lifting that kind of weight. So definitely that is a recipe for disaster. And thirdly, I keep telling people, I usually, like yesterday, somebody had consulted with me and they said that they usually are in a sedentary job and they want to deadlift like 120 kilos or 150 kilos. So I was like, what is your aim? 23 hours of the day or the remaining hours of the day, you sit in front of the system, you need a very strong core. Is it really going to benefit you if you do a deadlift that much? Is it just for, like that is a aim that you want to achieve? Or do you want to strengthen your body to actually work on the things that you do all day long, that is sit for long hours and work? So don't try to do something just because everybody else is doing it without knowing what is good for your body and what is important for your body. Okay, so yeah.
So, it's actually bring me the point. I think a lot of people, who remember my conditions in Bangalore, I used to have my back locked. And that was, something that took a very long time for us to rectify. I remember there was during the, I had to keep getting my back unlocked, get it pressed. I didn't have time. I didn't have professional help. I think much later on did I meet you and I started discussing this. And by the grace of God, touch wood, I have not had that problem. Otherwise, I remember my middle back used to be like, oh my God. It is just, I felt like somebody taking a road roller and rolling over my back. So I'm coming from that pain. So, guys, that is why as you understand the efficiency of a professional, you understand why a professional is required when you go through it, when you understand. That's why I say it takes a team, it takes a lot of people to, everybody has their own specialities. So, you've
it takes a village.
Exactly, it takes a village. So you can see how how Gauri, how each one played that, special role. Now, coming back to this, okay, carrying heavy weight, since we are talking injuries. Now, out of my experience, I've learned one thing. Injuries may not show up now. Injuries flare up in the future. People may not realize they're able to take it right now. They're able to push it. But your lower back, then your hips, things like that, the workout you may be doing something today you feel is great, but it's going to have a bad effect. Why don't you give a little input, a little knowledge to the people out there how they may find the injury is not now but flaring up in the future as they become old?
Okay, so one reason why the injury happens over a period of time is even basic soreness of the muscle or the spasm of the muscle happens after 24 to 48 hours of doing a particular exercise. Now, why this happens is because either you have not warmed up enough, which I, as already explained, very important for your flexibility, for improving your range of motion and efficiency of the muscle. Number two, people are not breathing properly, and this is one of the reasons why maximum injuries happen. Like, people will usually be thinking, why is breathing so important? Breathing is very, very important. And when I go to the gym, or when even like I was speaking to you about this, Pratik, that I usually see people not breathing at all. So that is something called as a Valsalva maneuver. So what people think is that if they do not breathe, and they are able to maintain the core stability and they will be able to push more load. But that is not correct. If you don't breathe out at all, okay, rather than breathing out a little bit in a controlled manner, which is what is required. So if you don't breathe out at all, it will increase your intra-abdominal pressure, that is the pressure inside the stomach, the abdominal cavity, and the intracranial pressure. So if you increase the intra-abdominal or in the intracranial pressure, there can be a lot of pressure on the arterial walls. Now, sometimes it can also lead to a rupture. And the intra-abdominal pressure leads to a very common condition called hernia, which a lot of people have been suffering from, and I have usually seen a lot of clients coming to me, suddenly join the gym, suddenly join the gym and lifted a lot of weight very soon, not able to go ahead very well. So that led to this. So these things are very, very important.
So, as she was saying, it's very important. You have to be careful because things like a hernia popping and all, it doesn't sound great. So that is why we say be very careful. See, I know, okay, I come from that school of thought, where your body says, no, I can't carry this weight. This weight is enough, but your mind says, no, 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 let's go heavier, let's go heavier. I've come from that Hulk position, but honestly, don't. You have to control your mind. You can upgrade to that weight when you can. Now, coming to that point when you can upgrade the weight, see, most of the time what I find in gyms, what mistake or a goof up a person makes is, in that josh or in that eagerness to carry a heavy weight, they lose their motion. That is the range of motion of the workout. If they should be working the bicep and they're carrying a much heavier weight, they start using the shoulder and it becomes more of a workout and a load on your shoulder than your bicep. So, can you explain to them in a very short span? I think you've already touched on it, but in a way, maybe a line or two, how important is form and the range of motion of a workout?
See, form is the most important way how we should be, the one thing that we should be concentrating on. Why? Because whenever we are working out either one muscle, an isolated muscle, or we are working out a group of muscles. Now, what happens is people think they do not know the correct form and they end up doing the exercise at a very high speed, sometimes not through entire range of motion with momentum. That means that instead of, like, when you're doing a biceps curl, instead of keeping your elbows right next to your waist angle, people will be lifting the elbows and shoulders and going forward with the bicep curl. They will be able to lift a lot of weight nonetheless, but the form is not correct. So you are using all the other muscles other than the biceps, and there are high chances of injury with that. Okay, so the best way of exercising a muscle is actually to move the weight slowly. Okay, or eccentric exercises are very, very good way of exercising a muscle. So you need to stabilize your shoulder. For example, when we are going forward with a bicep curl, you need to stabilize your shoulder, you need to stabilize your elbow. Come to your starting position. A lot of people don't even know what a starting position means. That means a position from which you are starting to exercise. And then you start off with your repetition. Go slow. Don't rush. Okay, when you rush, you are not exercising the correct muscle and chances of injury increases. Not only injury to the specific muscle, but you might drop the weight also if you're going really fast. And third is don't overdo. Don't overdo. Why? Because most of us are not heavyweight lifters. We are not athletes. So when you overdo, you reach the point of fatigue. Mostly that fatigue point is enough for you to be able to build up those muscles. But if we keep going forward with more reps, we leave the fatigue or the pain that we are feeling, we are actually causing injury to the muscle. So don't overdo, don't ignore pain, don't rush, go slow, breathe well. All of these things are very, very important along with the starting position and the right form.
And since we're on the topic of heavyweight, I have spoken about this. I've already rolled out a video once. Guys, see, whenever we guys do a heavyweight, I am doing a heavyweight. Keep in mind, I am not alone. I am surrounded by at least 2 trainers, especially when I'm going for my 35 kg dumbbells. Understand that there can be that minute chance I reach fatigue or I'm just not able to push it back or bring it back, or I need assistance. Somebody just pick it up and take it away from me, because I obviously can't drop that dumbbell from that height. So keep in mind, always see to it you have people around you when you do a heavyweight. Not necessarily 35 is heavy. A 15 kg dumbbell can also be heavy for you. So guys, this is a word of advice. Please, whenever you try to do any weights which you find are heavy, see to it somebody is there to spot you, assist you. Always safety first, guys. Now coming towards one of the last questions that I have. Belts. We have support belts. But nowadays I see people attend and they're doing this crazy heavy weight. They don't bother to wear those belts. How important are these belts? How important is that support for your lower back?
Okay, so belts are very, very important for your lower back. Why? Because the belt actually gives stability to the core. Now, most of us, our core muscles are very, very weak. So what happens is we try to work on the core muscles while exercising a little bit with our breathing technique. Like, for example, when we are taking the weights down or lowering the weights, we take a deep breath in. And when we are coming up with the weights, we exhale in a controlled manner to maintain the abdominal in a braced position to give a core stability. But that might not be enough. So we need to go ahead with wearing a stability lumbar belt so that we are able to maintain that same core stability, which is very important to go ahead with exercise. Now, if we are not having a very strong core and we are not wearing or not taking the help from the belt, we are going to be more prone to injuries, because trust me, most of us, like 99% of us, have a very, very weak core. I think even I might have a very weak core. So we all need help. We need to keep vanity aside and know that we all need that help of a stability belt and a spotter. Absolutely very, very important.
See, that is very much agreed because I have a belt in my kit always. No matter I use it every day or when I have to use it, but there's a belt I always carry, especially with the pandemic having separate things. So I've always had a belt, I think, since the last 2 years. So that's a piece of advice to everybody coming from experts like Dr. Devdatta Mukherjee. Have belts, have suppose they're there for a reason. So, it goes like that. So I think we've had a good discussion today, and we've, I think, touched upon some very major topics. Anything you would like to end the conversation with, or anything you would like to add?
I think the one thing that I would really like to stress upon is people don't know how to balance their exercises. People work on certain exercises which are very popular, very famous. They work on their biceps, but they forget to work on their triceps. They work on their abs, but they forget to work on their back as much. So you need to maintain that couple, like your abs and your back is working together, your biceps and your triceps is working together. So maintain that balance in strength training. And if you maintain that balance, one muscle will be supported by the opposite group of muscles and none of them will get injured. So this is the most important thing that people forget to do. They do the fancy new popular exercise, but they don't go forward with balanced strength training. So if I feel that people should know about this as well.
And
Absolutely.
if you're looking for information on that, you can DM us, you can DM Dr. Devdatta Mukherjee, or you can DM me, and we'll be glad to help you or give you more information on it. So, okay, guys, I think we've covered Dr. Devdatta Mukherjee, Dev, for a long time. She's sitting in the mountain areas and she's giving us advice. I think now we should let her go, and hopefully next week, I'm sure next week we reconnect with her because she was back on popular demand, and we again thank the paraglider for landing us safely, and we hope to see more exciting, adventures by Dr. Devdatta Mukherjee. So, thank you
Thank
again,
you. Thank you
Dev.
so much,
This
Pradeep.
has been an interesting session, and I look forward to more interesting sessions. And I hope you have a blast of a time. Okay, continue your holiday. Have a great time, guys. Thank you
Thank
all for
you.
tuning in. I hope everybody had a great Diwali. Belated Diwali wishes. Though we have been posting our Diwali wishes, but big Diwali wishes from all of us. I hope this year is an amazing year. Prosperity, happiness, success, and all that your heart desires. This is Diwali for you guys. So, guys, this is Dr. Devdatta Mukherjee and Hustling Muscles signing off. Take care, Dev. Bye.
Bye, guys. Take care, Pratik.